Help in Pharmaceuticals in association with Higher Secondary Principals Forum.
Good day students, once again we are back to today's psychology lecture. We were continuing from the same first chapter, that is variations in psychology, and before we start today's lecture, again I would like to give you a small activity of the same kind which we had done last time. So as I said, these are some brain gym activities or brain gym exercises. Last time we had done the lazy 8 where you had kept your thumbs up diagonal and drawn an 8 in the air. That was to improve your focus and attention, right. So this time we are going to do another brain gym exercise called as hookups. Okay. So basically in this what you have to do is stand upright straight, take your right leg across your left leg, take your right hand across your left hand, intertwine your fingers and bring your hand inside, and in this way you have to wait for 10 seconds. Okay, let's begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. Same has to be repeated on the other side. So you have to take your left across your right, you take your left hand across your right hand, intertwine your fingers and bring it in, and again wait for 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. Alright, that's done with the activity. As I said, there are many more such activities, out of which I have showed you one for the previous lecture and another one for this lecture. So I'll take the opportunity to introduce myself once again. My name is Dilsha Valsan and I am a teacher from Nagar High Secondary School. So let's continue with today's topic, that is variations in psychological attributes. That is the first chapter of your syllabus, which will be there for your first formative. What are we going to learn today? Individual differences in intelligence, variations of intelligence, types of intelligence tests, culture and intelligence, intelligence in the Indian tradition, emotional intelligence, special abilities, creativity and intelligence. So let's begin. This is an important topic which you need to listen to carefully. Do note down or you can mark important points in your textbook, on your textbook. And yeah, so individual differences in intelligence is basically they discuss about the interplay of nature and nurture. You might have heard probably nature versus nurture. What is it that shows our intelligence? Which is the one that plays major role? Is it nature or nurture? So there are a number of evidence for hereditary influence on intelligence that mainly come from studies that were done on twins and on adopted children. Okay. So what were the things done and what were the findings that they found? What are the correlation that they found? Intelligence of identical twins reared together, they correlate almost 0.90. Okay. So in identical twins who were reared together, they are considerably similar. That is what the finding was. Whereas identical twins reared in different environments, they correlate up to 0.72. Identical twins and fraternal twins, I am sure you know the difference. Nevertheless, I will tell you, identical twins are twins that are born from one fertilized egg that has been split, and fraternal twins are born from 2 separate fertilized eggs. Okay. So identical twins that are reared in different environments, they correlate up to 0.72, and fraternal twins reared together is 0.60. That is regarding twins. When they did research on brothers and sisters who were reared together, it was seen the result was 0.50. and siblings, when they were read apart, it was 0.25. So, you see the differences, it is going on reducing if you see the order. Then there was some research done on how the environmental factor, plays a role in children. So, children's intelligence is more similar to their biological rather than adoptive parents. This was seen in studies done on adopted children. Okay. So, what was the result they found? That children's intelligence is more similar to their biological parents rather than their adoptive parents. Okay. And further on, it was also seen that as children grow in age, their intelligence level tends to move closer to that of their adoptive parents. So, initially if you see, it will be more like the intelligence level will be more like their biological parents, but as they grow in age, obviously that shows that there is environmental interaction which plays an important role, and it is seen that their intelligence level tends to move closer to that of their adoptive parents. Okay. And another thing was seen that children from disadvantaged homes, when they were adopted into families with higher socio-economic status, they exhibit a large increase in their intelligence scores. So, that actually shows the difference. When the children were brought from lower economic background, where they were deprived with a lot of things, when they came to a higher economic background where they were given enough of resources, there was a change, drastic change seen in their intelligence scores. So, that shows that environmental deprivation lowers intelligence, while rich nutrition, good family background and quality schooling increases intelligence. So, basically intelligence is a product of complex interaction of heredity, that we say as nature. Heredity is nature and environment, which is nurture. I repeat once again, intelligence is a product of complex interaction of heredity, which is nature, and environment, which is nurture. So, definitely there is an interaction between both, which shows the intelligence level of the child. Moving on further, we go to assessment of intelligence, which I am sure this chapter is covered by most of you. Nevertheless, this is like a revision for you all. So, pay attention. Assessment of intelligence is the topic, and in 1905, Alfred Binet and Theodore Simon, they were the first who successfully attempted to formally measure intelligence, as I had already told you last time about Alfred Binet. But coming to assessment of intelligence, it was the two of them, that is Alfred Binet and Theodore Simon, who formally measured intelligence. So, the important things in this particular topic, what you have to remember are the points that I put up here: mental age, chronological age, mental retardation, and what William Stern has called as intelligence quotient. Okay. So, basically they gave a concept called as mental age, which in short is called MA, which is the measure of a person's intellectual development relative to people of his or her age group. Okay. So, if their intellectual development is relative to their age group, that is the mental age of that individual. What is chronological age? It is the biological age right from birth. So, that is your actual age. Okay. So, a mental age of 5 means that a child's performance on an intelligence test equals to the average performance level of a group of 5-year-olds. So, it has to match, both of it have to match. Okay. So, chronological, as I said, biological age, but for a dull child, the MA is below the CA. So, their mental age might be below the chronological age, which means that the development has not occurred how it is supposed to. Alright. And as I said, the last point, that is the most important point, where the concept of intelligence quotient came into picture, and it was given in the year 1912 by William Stern, who was a German psychologist. He devised this concept of intelligence quotient, which we most commonly say IQ. So IQ, it refers to the mental age divided by the chronological age and multiplied by 100. It's something like this. This is the formula that you use, and this can come as a question from exam point of view. You might be asked to calculate the IQ of a child, and you will be given a problem where the mental age is given, chronological age is given, and you might have to find the IQ of the child. Okay? So, yes. Now this into 100, please remember, that is not percentage. The number 100 is simply used as a multiplier to avoid any decimal points. Okay? So please know that it is not percentage. The last line which I have highlighted there, these are a few things that you have to remember. If the mental age is equal to the chronological age, the IQ is 100, and if the mental age is greater than the chronological age, the IQ tends to be greater than 100, and if the mental age is less than the chronological age, the IQ will be less than 100. Okay? Here is a small solution of the sum that I have shown. Abhishek, if the question can come like this, Abhishek is 10 years old, his mental age is 14 years, calculate his IQ using the formula and state the category to which he belongs. I have not yet gone to the category part, but the solution of this particular problem would be something like this, where you write IQ is equal to MA upon CA into 100. So here Abhishek is how old? 10 years. So 10 will be chronological age, that is CA, and his mental age is mentioned to be 14 years. So 14 will come on top. So it will be 14 divided by 10 into 100. Once you calculate it, the IQ will come to 140. Now there are categorizations. So this is the range which it falls in. So in this case, if the IQ is 140, it falls in which category? 140 means very superior, the first range, that is above 130. Okay, so this is how the classification of people is on the basis of their IQ. This is the general range. So 100 is seen to be the average. Okay, above 130 is very superior, and the percentage of people that are there is just 2.2. 120 to 130 is considered as superior, which the population is around 6.7. 110 to 119 is high average, which is 16.1. 90 to 109 is average, which is 50. Low average is 80 to 89, which is 16.1, and borderline is 70 to 79, which population is 6.7, and below 70, that is mentally challenged or mentally retarded, the percent in population is 2.2. So if you see the distribution of this, you will see that it is completely low, then it slowly increases, and then again it starts declining. So it comes to something called as a normal distribution curve. If you put it graphically, it shows a bell-shaped curve, okay, where the extremes are very less. Say for example, in your own class, not every child is brilliant, nor is every child completely dull. Majority of the section is the average section who get average marks, whereas there are a few who get extremely high marks and there are few who get extremely low marks. The same way is this bell-shaped curve, the normal distribution curve, where the average IQ comes in the middle range, which is 68%. Then below average, above average, and the extreme sides is where there is very little and very high IQ. Okay? So this is how the bell-shaped curve looks. Hope that is clear to you. So now we come to variations of intelligence. So here you have seen that there is very superior and there is mentally challenged as well. So above 130 means they are highly intellectual and they are gifted. Okay? So they are children who are called gifted children or gifted individuals, and people whose IQ is below 70, they are either said to be intellectually disabled, or even it comes under the category of mental retardation. So, coming back to variations of intelligence. So, first we will go to what is intellectual deficiency, okay? Then we will go to what is intellectual giftedness. So, as you know, giftedness means whose IQ is very high, who is very intellectually at a higher level, and quite a creative person as well. But on the other hand, we have children who have difficulty, lot of difficulty in learning, in grasping, in understanding things, or even in doing simple skills like basic skills, everyday skills. For some who have a lot of problem, they may even have basic problems like they may not be able to brush their teeth by themselves or take care of themselves by themselves. They need constant help. So, these children who show intellectual deficiency are termed as intellectually disabled. Now, according to AAMD, that is the American Association on Mental Deficiency, they have given this term saying that significantly sub-average general intellectual functioning existing currently with deficits in adaptive behavior and manifested during development period. Now, what does this mean? There are three things that are important as per this sentence. Okay, there are three basic features of individuals who are intellectually disabled. What are the three features? First feature as given here is significantly sub-average intelligence. What do you mean by significantly sub-average intelligence? Basically, it means that the person has IQ which is below 70. So, they are judged to have sub-average intelligence. Okay. So, we have seen that the person has below 70 IQ. Second point, deficits in adaptive behavior. What does that mean? That the person's capacity to be independent and to deal effectively with your environment is a little difficult. So, he or she may not be entirely independent or may not be able to deal with the things that are happening around very effectively. So, that is the second point, that is deficits in adaptive behavior. And the third point is deficits must be observed during the developmental period. So, these deficits that are there, these issues or these concerns should be observed during the development period, that is from 0 to 18 years of age. If there is an issue, if there is a intellectually disabled person, all the signs and all the issues will be seen during this period, during a younger age, that is during the developmental period. So, individuals who are categorized as having intellectual disability, they also range. Okay, there is a different range in which they are shown. It could be mild, it could be moderate, it could be severe, or it could be profound. So, there are some who might be in mild category, who might be having mild intellectual deficiency. In this case, if they are trained enough or if they are given enough of required institutional care, they might be able to do things by themselves. But there are some who are in the profound category who need constant help from someone or the other to take care of their day-to-day needs. So, let us see how it is categorized. Mild is IQs 55 to approximately 70. Okay, their IQ, when it is between this range, they are said to have mild intellectual deficiency. Those who have 35 to 40 IQ approximately, they range in the moderate category, and severe is IQs 20 to 25 to 20 to 25 to approximate 35 to 40. This is the severe range where it might be a little more difficult to take care of them. And the last case, as I said, is profound, that is below 20 to 25. So, in this case they are mostly entirely dependent on someone else. Now, if it is a mild case with they might be a little slower than their age group, but with a little help they may be able to adjust with their age group and function independently and even hold jobs in future and have families. But people with moderate disability, they lag behind quite a lot, and even their language and motor skills are affected. And yes, even simple social communication, all these skills are affected when it comes to even severe case. Okay, they are not able to even have interaction, how to have a social how to develop a self-care skill or social skill. These basic things are not being able to be done by these individuals, and as I said, profound, it is a severe disability and they are incapable of managing their lives by themselves. So, they need constant care, and this will mostly go on throughout their life, for their entire life. Okay. So, these are the categorization in terms of intellectual deficiency. Moving on to intellectual giftedness. So, intellectual giftedness falls in the entire opposite category, that is, they show higher performance because of their outstanding personalities. So, they are gifted, their IQ is very high, that is 130 and above, and they are mostly quite successful in their occupational and life adjustment. Everything is pretty well settled for them, and they may not adjust in a normal school section, because sometimes their capacity is much more, that they need to learn much more than what the normal schools function. So, there are sometimes special schools for gifted children who have higher IQs, okay, higher IQ, sorry. So, here there are 2 points, giftedness and talent. It may sound similar, but the difference between the two is giftedness is exceptional general ability shown in superior performance in a wide variety of areas. Okay. So, when you have a general ability in many areas, in a wide variety of areas, that is referred to as giftedness, whereas talent, when you say the word talent, it is a narrow term which refers to remarkable ability in a specific field. So, if you are having excellent ability in a specific field, that is called as talent, whereas giftedness is a general ability where you are having a performance in a lot of areas. Okay. Clear with the difference? And there is another important point here where we see that it has been suggested by psychologists that giftedness from a teacher's point of view, it depends on a combination of these 3 points, okay, the last 3 points that I have highlighted. So, giftedness from a teacher's point of view is these combinations are observed, that is high ability, high creativity and high commitment. They are high in all these 3 areas, and that is what teachers feel are gifted individuals or gifted children. Okay. Moving on to the characteristics of gifted children, these are clearly mentioned in your text, and gifted children usually they show quite early signs of intellectual superiority. So, when they are quite young, you can see that they have developed a lot. They have good recognition of memory, they have good, they have a preference for novelty, they are quite sensitive to environmental changes. So, and definitely they are brilliant in their academic performances. Okay. So, all these things are observed at quite a young age, and the important characteristics are noted down here, that is, they have advanced logical thinking, questioning and problem solving behavior. So, a lot of times when they are kept in a normal setup, if you have seen the series Young Sheldon, I think that would be a perfect example to give you, because that child does not fit the normal classroom setting. Even the teachers are not able to cope up with his questions. Okay. So, there is advanced logical thinking, questioning and problem solving behavior. They are high speed in processing information. Okay. They process information like anything. Superior generalization and discrimination ability. They have advanced level of original and creative thinking. They may come up with ideas and thoughts that you and I might have not even thought at all. okay, and they have high level of intrinsic motivation and self-esteem. So, they do not need an external factor to motivate them. Like most students, either parents or parents or teachers have to keep telling them study, do this. You need that push from somewhere external, right, but these children not at all required. They are self motivated and they are intrinsically motivated from within. They are independent and they have non-conformist thinking, and their preference is more for solitary academic activities for long periods, because it is difficult for them to adjust with other people's levels, because they know at some point that they are superior and their thinking is different. So, they prefer solitary academic activities. Okay. So, yes, moving on, we move on to types of intelligence tests. Okay. So, what are the types of intelligence tests? Now, we have already seen the domains, the different types of assessment of psychological attributes, what is intelligence, what are the theories that many of them have given, and they have also developed many tests. What are the variations in intelligence, what is intelligence quotient, and what is who are rather people who are intellectually deficient and who are gifted children. All this we have seen. So, now we will focus on the types of intelligence tests that are there. So, basically to test the IQ, there are a number of intelligence tests. It could be a group test, it could be an individual test, it could be a verbal test, or it could be some performance test depending on the kind of material that you are using. Whatever it is, the kind of test that you need to use for testing intelligence should be depending on the purpose of your use, the kind of use it is, and you have to make sure to see the kind of background you are using it in, because most of the tests that are developed abroad, and not many of them, most of them they are used here, but some of them are there which may not be culturally appropriate to be used in our setup. So, there are two terms here, culture fair and culture biased. So, there are some tests which is culture fair pertaining to a particular culture, whereas there are some tests which are culture biased. Okay. So, you can choose the test depending on the purpose of your use. So, let us move on to see which are those. The first image that you can see is of individual tests, and the second is the group tests. So, you may get a question on this trying to differentiate, asking to differentiate between the two. So, keep in mind that individual test is one which can be administered on one person at a time, as you can see the image over here, and a group intelligence test is administered to several people, okay, many people at one time simultaneously it is conducted. Again, when it comes to individual test, the administrator and the person who the test is conducted on, there is a rapport built. Okay, so there is you are developing a good rapport with that individual. You are trying to see how sensitive the person is, the feelings, the emotions, expressions during the session. All this can be seen on a very close basis, because it is a single person. It is on individual basis. This cannot be done in a group test. There is no time to build rapport with each individual, because it is conducted simultaneously on a big number, so on a group of people. So, individually going may not be possible. Again, when it comes to individual tests, the person has the ability, the administrator has the ability to manipulate the materials or objects that are there. That cannot happen in a group test. Mostly group test will be more of a multiple choice questions format, or in a written manner, where you do not have to interact much with the person. Okay. So, these are the differences between the two. Then we come to verbal, non-verbal and performance tests. Verbal test is basically fully verbal, where you have to use it in a way where you need some language. So, mostly verbal tests cannot be used on an illiterate person, because either the person has to respond orally or written, but language is the main thing of a verbal test. So, illiterate people difficult to test. But non-verbal tests, if you can see the second image over here, non-verbal tests are basically tests which have picture illustrations where you are asked to, you know, match something from those images. So, here the first one will be an incomplete, there will be a question mark. Can you see the question mark there? That will be an incomplete space where you have to choose from the option which will best match that particular image to complete it. So, these are non-verbal tests, okay. And an example given in your textbook is of Raven's progressive matrices. That is one test which is a non-verbal test. And the performance test that you can see over there, the example given in your text is the course block design test. So, basically in performance test there are some objects that are given and you have to do something with those objects as per the instructions given. So, in this particular case there is an image, if you can see, given over there of one shape and you are given many blocks and you have to look at that image and create the same design with the blocks that you are given. So, the design, the blocks will be of different colors and everything. So, you have to match that color and see the design and make the particular pattern. So, in this case the subject has to arrange it. So, there is no use of language or anything, but there will be a time given to produce the particular design. A major advantage of the performance test is that they can be easily administered to people belonging to different cultures, okay. So, it is a good thing, it is a strength in this case. Moving on further, we come to the next topic, that is culture and intelligence, okay. So, intelligence, it helps individuals to adapt to their environment, agreed? Definitely, I am sure, because it your intelligence will definitely help you to adapt and to adjust in your environment. Like how Vygotsky says that culture provides a social context in which people live, grow and understand the world around them. Now, it definitely there is a connection between culture and intelligence, because it is seen that in cultures where technology is not developed much. So, if societies have technologies which are not developed much, they mostly focus or they value people's social and emotional skills more, okay. But if you see, compare it to a culture which is highly technologically developed, then you see they focus more on abilities of reasoning and judgment, and this is what represents intelligence to them. These are the ones that are developed well in technology as well. So, the culture is basically a system of customs, beliefs, attitudes and achievements in art and literature, and a person's intelligence is likely to be tuned by some of the cultural parameters. Yes, definitely. According to Sternberg, intelligence is a product of culture, and Vygotsky again he says cultures have a life of their own. Like what he says is things change, and in the same way the culture also changes. So, culture itself has a life of its own. So, he says that there are some things which are common and universal, like the elementary functions of crying, attending to a mother's voice, sensitivity to smell, walking, running, all these are universal, which is observed all over. And the matter of higher mental functions such as problem solving, thinking, all these are largely culture produced. So, there is a great interaction between culture and intelligence. Further on, the last point that you see is about technological intelligence. So, what is this? It is mentioned in your text that technologically advanced societies, they adopt child rearing practices that foster skills of generalization and abstraction, speed, minimal moves and mental manipulation among children. So, these are the things that they focus on, and these are the kind of societies that you call as technological intelligence. So, these are the societies that promote the behavior which are technologically intelligent. For them, those are the main aspects, okay, rather than the other things that are focused in other cultures which are not so technologically intelligent. Moving on further, we see intelligence in Indian tradition. This is connecting intelligence to our Indian traditions. It is seen that intelligence in the Indian tradition can be termed as integral intelligence. Okay? Integral means essential intelligence which comprises of everything. So, Buddhi, this term, according to J.P. Das, it includes skills like mental efforts, determined action, feelings and opinions, along with cognitive competence such as knowledge, discrimination and understanding. So, we have a holistic view of what is intelligence in Indian terms, because everything is included, whereas Western term is mostly focused on cognitive skills. We see it in as a whole, okay, not only cognitive but also non-cognitive skills are included in this. So, there are some facets of intelligence in the Indian tradition, and those are the 4 points that are mentioned here. One is cognitive capacity, the other is social competence, emotional competence and entrepreneurial competence. There can be a question asked on this as well. What is cognitive capacity? Basically sensitivity to context, understanding, discrimination, problem solving and effective communication, like you know all the higher mental processes. Social competence, it is respect for social order, commitment to elders and young and the needy and concern about others' perspectives. So, you see the difference how these aspects are also taken into consideration when you come to the intelligence based on Indian tradition. Third is the emotional competence, that is self-regulation, self-monitoring of emotions, honesty, politeness, good conduct and self-evaluation. And the last one is entrepreneurial competence, which includes commitment, persistence, patience, hard work, vigilance and a goal-directed behavior. So, do remember all these 4 points which are important, which comes under Indian tradition, that is facets of intelligence. The next topic we come to is emotional intelligence. Just like how we have the IQ, that is intelligence quotient, we also have something called as the EQ, that is emotional quotient, and this has come up a lot in today's world, because it has been seen that having only a high IQ is not enough. Okay, your EQ also has to be good enough to bring a balance between your intelligence and your emotions. Such people are better adjusted in their environment compared to the ones who only have high IQ. So, what is emotional intelligence? Basically, emotional intelligence is a set of skills that underlie accurate appraisal, expression and regulation of emotions. So, as per Salovey and Mayer, they have given this definition, that the ability to monitor one's own and others' emotions, to discriminate among them and to use the information to guide one's thinking and actions is what they have defined as emotional quotient. Okay. So, it was seen that a good IQ and scholastic record is not enough to be successful in life, because there were many people who were very successful in life academically and they were doing very well when you see their job perspective, but if you had to see their personal relations and their personal lives, they were having a lot of difficulties. You all might have observed many a time that people who are high on IQ, who are highly intellectual and who have achieved a lot in life, if you see academically or even job wise, they have probably achieved a lot, but over the period of time they have a lot of difficulty in adjustment, because they are not able to maintain good relations with their co-workers, they are not able to maintain good relation even with their family members, and they are not able to have a good emotional balance. Okay, so that means they are not able to identify and understand their own behavior, at the same time they are not able to identify and understand others' behavior so that they can behave appropriately. They have their own way of thinking which is not very flexible. So, it is very important that emotional quotient is also considered, and it is important to assess this part as well. And now, because of the research done on this particular factor, it is seen that there are many people who are giving attention to this emotional intelligence, and they are working on improving the emotional quotient. So, there are many programs that are aimed at which are given to students which will improve their emotional intelligence, so that it benefits them and it has good effects on their academic achievements. So, what happens was, it was observed that there were some students who are academically achieving a lot, but they were very emotionally unstable. So, if they were given enough of programs and trainings in that area, then they were able to better manage their lives, and they were prepared to face the challenges even outside the classroom and not just within their academic class session. So, that is why emotional intelligence and emotional quotient are important in these terms. Coming to special abilities. So, in special abilities we see two things, that is aptitude and interest. We have already done what is aptitude. It basically refers to the special abilities in a particular field of activity, and it is a combination of characteristics that indicates an individual's capacity to acquire some specific knowledge or skill after training. And what is interest? It is a preference for a particular activity. Why are these two things important? While assessing intelligence, psychologists often found that people with similar intelligence, they differed in the kind of knowledge or skills that they acquired. So, it was not necessary that those who had similar kind of intelligence had the same kind of knowledge and skills that they wanted to acquire, that it was different. So, that is when this whole aptitude and interest came into picture. So that we can help predict whether the person will sustain in that field in the future. In order to be successful in a particular field, a person must have both aptitude and interest. Like I always tell my students that if you are choosing any particular career, it is very important to see that you have the skill for it. So, you have to have the aptitude for it as well as interest in that particular field, because if you do not have interest in that particular skill or field, over the period of time you will lose interest and you will start performing badly in that area. Like a small example would be of children who are scoring very high marks and they take probably some field that they are actually not interested, but because of high scores and they have the ability to do it and probably parents have told them to choose it, they have taken that, but they never had genuine interest towards that field. Then you see that after some time they are not performing well. It is not because they are not having the ability to perform well, it is simply because their interest starts dropping down. So, automatically their performance lowers in that particular field. So, yes, it is definitely important so that in future whatever job you take or whichever field you are working in, if you want to have a satisfactory outcome and sustain in that particular field, you need to keep in mind both aptitude as well as interest. Moving on to the last subtopic of today's class, that is creativity and intelligence. Not much in detail, but you just have to know the difference between the two. Basically, a question may come asking you the difference between creativity and intelligence. So, Terman, he has said that persons with high IQ were not necessarily creative. Okay. So, creative ideas can come from a person who does not have a very high IQ. You might have seen in your own classroom that there might be people who are having different skills, they are good at different things. If you have difficulty in a particular subject, you might go to one person. If you have difficulty in repairing something, you might go to another person. If you want to go for a singing contest and you need company, you might go to someone else. So everyone has different creative talents within them. Okay, but it is seen that creative ideas could come from a person who do not have a very high IQ, as I have mentioned. So researchers have also found that both high and low level of creativity can be found in highly intelligent children and also in children of average intelligence. So when they saw that people who are highly intellectual, like the ones who had really high IQ, it was not necessary that they had high creativity in them. It could be just average level. So the relationship between creativity and intelligence is seen to be positive. Okay, so but of course you cannot expect creativity from a person who does not have any level of intelligence or has a very low level of intelligence, because certain level of intelligence is required for creativity. So creativity does require some level of intelligence. Like for example, if there is a creative writer who writes very beautifully, the person has to have knowledge about language. Without that, obviously he or she will not be able to be a creative writer. Again, if it is an artist or a painter who has to paint something, they have to have some knowledge about the various skills used in painting, the color combinations and different ideas. So that minimum or that kind of intelligence is required for them to be an artist or a painter. So that is what they are focusing on here, and it is said that there are tests which are there to assess people's creativity, and these tests, a general feature of these tests is that most of them are open ended. Why? Because if you keep it closed ended, then you are killing the person's creativity. Closed ended means you want a specific answer, whereas in creativity you have to give them a open-ended activity or open-ended question where they use their own creativity, they use their own ideas and explore new things and come up with new things, so that you know their level of intelligence. So they need to have that freedom to do things that are coming in their thoughts, so that free flow of thought has to be there. And there are no specific answers or questions or problems in creativity tests. Whereas the opposite, if it is a close ended test, mostly in intelligence, if you are assessing the person's intelligence, it is seen that most of the time it is focused on logical reasoning, or it is focused on accuracy, clear thinking or perceptual ability. So it is very specific. There is no exploration there for the person, there is no freedom for the person to do something different. It is very specific. So creative tests are not like that. They are open ended and there is no specific correct answer as such. So imagination, reality, originality and expressions are very spontaneous in such tests. So with that we come to the end of this chapter, and a few important questions which are framed in this particular manner pertaining to your board exams. I have just highlighted the important questions, but as I already said for your last lecture, textbook is everything. You need to read up, understand, mark important things and then learn the question answers. So there could be questions pertaining to this, like distinguish between individual tests and group tests, or even it could be on the other, that is verbal, non-verbal performance tests. Then discuss intelligence as a product of the environment. So the nature, nurture can also be a question that is asked. State the characteristics of gifted children. So those few points or characteristics that are there, that can be there. Talent and giftedness, that also can be asked in a different manner. Differentiate between creativity tests and intelligence tests, that is what we did towards the end. And how is intelligence understood in the Indian tradition, also covered, which had 4 important points in them. And you may get a sum to solve of IQ, which I had told previously. So yes, that is the end of the first chapter, that is variations in psychological attributes. Thank you very much and all the best.
Prudent Scholars, powered by Lupin Pharmaceuticals.